ahead, sir.
My name is Brian Claypool, and I'm the owner of the Claypool Law Firm. My firm represents 11 children and also the parents of the 11 children in a lawsuit that's currently pending against the Los Angeles Unified School District arising out of the Miramonte child abuse scandal, in which we all know now that Mr. Burns had carried out these lurid acts of abuse on these children for over 20 years. The reason why we're here today, though, is I was reading the report yesterday, 267-page report. It was prepared by the former FBI Director, William Free. And halfway into reading that report, I said to myself, wow, this report looks like a report on Miramonte School. I was looking at that and I said, everything that FBI Director Free is saying about Penn State is the same problem that we had at Miramonte. For example, we had at Miramonte an intentional concealment of Mr. Burnt carrying out all these lurid acts on these kids. The staff, the administration got together. They knew about Mr. Burnt 20 years ago. They did nothing. They shoveled it under the carpet. And the reason why they shoveled it under the carpet is because of this. Right here. Let me show you why they did it. Money. Right here. Money. Money follows the kids. For every child that doesn't show up in a classroom at LAUSD, they lose money. Almost $400 a day on each kid that doesn't show up. So that provided the motive all these years for the LAUSD to discourage anybody from reporting suspected child abuse of a teacher because of the money. Because they knew that word would get out that there are predators in the schools, kids would pull out of school, and they would lose the money. It's all about the money. It's like a fix. It's like a drug over at LAUSD. They need another fix of the money. We can't report child abuse or try to prevent child abuse because we'll lose our fix. We're going to lose our money. That's exactly what I saw yesterday in that same report about Penn State. A conscious, willful disregard for the well-being of the students, not only at Miramonte School, but at hundreds of schools in the Los Angeles Unified School District. Another thing that struck me yesterday, though, was I'm reading this independent investigative report yesterday, and I said to myself, here we are 6 months later, 6 months after Miramonte broke, and there hasn't been a single independent investigation of Miramonte and of the Los Angeles Unified School District. Can you believe that? Can the members of the community believe that? Can people across the country believe that? Does anybody care about kids being kicked to the curb, thrown under the bus at the expense of big business wanting to make money? Does anybody really care about this? So what we decided to do was contact President Obama. Because our state attorney general didn't care, our district attorney didn't conduct an independent investigation for purposes of determining whether to indict any LAUSD officials. And by the way, that is the only way we are going to make monumental change, not only at Miramonte, not only at LAUSD, not only at Penn State, not only at the Archdiocese in Philadelphia. The only way to do it is there needs to be a criminal investigation to determine whether top officials at LAUSD knew about Mr. Burns, they knew about other teachers who were predators at schools throughout LAUSD, and they intentionally decided to shuffle those teachers to other schools, or they did nothing to remove those teachers from those schools. If they did that, which we believe they have over the last 20 years, that amounts to what's called a criminal conspiracy to commit child endangerment. That is a crime. Recently in Philadelphia, a senior official of the Archdiocese School was convicted of criminal conspiracy to commit child endangerment. The time is now to have all of these officials, not only John Daisy today, I'm talking back 15 and 20 years ago. All of those individuals need to be investigated. All of the internal emails, just like Penn State, between all of these officials, talking about all these child predator teachers that were allowed to circulate these schools and prey upon these kids. They permitted it. We need a federal investigation of that. And I've got some good news today. President Obama, to his credit, I commend him, the first person to come forward and try to help these kids and these parents. He sent my letter to the U.S. Department of Justice. And the U.S. Department of Justice sent it to the FBI. And I have here, right here, a letter from the FBI in Washington, D.C. Here it is. They've looked at my letter and they said they are looking at the information and that it might warrant a federal investigation. The FBI in Washington, D.C. has contacted the local FBI bureau in Los Angeles, and they've opened a file. They've opened a file. They are in the process of determining whether to launch a full-fledged federal investigation. That is a great development. They asked me to provide them with additional information, and I have provided them recently with additional factual information to support the atrocity that's taken place over at Miramonte and other schools for the last 20 years. And the good news is, the FBI has invited anybody with information, any families, any witnesses, any individuals who have not come forward yet, to come forward. They want you to come forward. And they, the FBI, is asking anybody everywhere, families, kids, parents, witnesses, to call them. And the number to call at the local FBI bureau to get this federal investigation launched is 310-477-6565. Let me say that again. 310-477-6565. This is a fascinating development for this community, and we can't stop here though. We need to push the FBI over the edge to do this investigation. We have their attention. They are interested. Thank you, President Obama, for taking the time to read this letter. Thank you, President Obama and Michelle Obama, for looking at the details that we sent you. Thank you for contacting the Department of Justice. Thank you, FBI, for contacting my office. But it's now up to the community. People in this city and county need to now respond. Contact your local FBI. I've given you the number. And let's get this federal investigation launched. And the reason why we need this federal investigation of Miramonte and Los Angeles Unified School District is because they can't control themselves. They can't monitor themselves. They don't have a vested interest in taking care of these kids. They have exhibited a pattern over the last 20 years of kicking children to the curb, throwing them under the bus, retaliating against teachers who report suspected abuse. I'm a single parent of a 6-year-old girl. I was horrified by what happened here. I was horrified yesterday to read about Penn State. We now have a chance to use the blueprint that the former FBI Director Freed put together for us at Penn State and use that now to investigate the Los Angeles Unified School District. And then, through that, we will all collectively hold accountable top officials at the Los Angeles Unified School District. My hope one day is to finally get an indictment of somebody over at LAUSD who conspired to put these kids at risk knowing that there were predators at these schools. That is my hope for this community. This isn't about a civil lawsuit. This is about accountability, and this is about justice for everybody in this city. Everybody who has a child. That's what this is about. And Penn State can now be used as a gift to us. That is really a gift given to us in Miramonte and LAUSD to help us finally break this wall, break this code of silence that exists over there, and to break this mask over there. They mask reality at LAUSD. They want you folks to all believe that they care about these kids. They don't. They just care about the dollar bill, the money, the power. That's what they care about. And I'm so proud and pleased to now know that we are this close to a federal investigation of LAUSD and Miramonte. And I'll close with asking everybody out there, whether you're a family that's already reported this to the DA, it doesn't matter, call the local FBI. If you are a family of a child who was abused and you were afraid to come forward because of you feared deportation, you now have a friend. Call the local FBI. Make this happen. This is one opportunity of a lifetime for all of us to finally break this wall and make some change for the children who attend LAUSD schools. And not only that, but let's use now Miramonte and Los Angeles Unified School District as a template for schools and universities nationwide to take a proactive approach to prevent child abuse in their schools. That's what we are happy to report today. And I will close with this. Now that the former FBI Director, William Freeh, has completed his investigation of Penn State University, which, by the way, I went to Penn State. I'm an alma mater of Penn State, and I'm ashamed of Penn State. But William Freeh isn't working on the Penn State investigation anymore, is he? Well, I plan on writing him a letter asking him whether he's available to do the investigation of Miramonte and the Los Angeles Unified School District. I'm going to do that. And then my next letter is going to be to John Daisy. And I'm going to ask John Daisy to do me a favor. I'm going to tell John Daisy, show me the money, dude. I want you to take some of this money at LAUSD and you go take that money and you pay former FBI Director Freeh to do the independent investigation of Miramonte that we've been waiting for 6 months. That's what I want Mr. Daisy to do. I don't want to hear any talk anymore about how much we care about these kids. Put your money where your mouth is, Mr. Daisy. Call Mr. Freeh. He's available. I'm sending him a letter for you. I'll help you with that. And you show this community how much you care about these kids, and you yourself go out and get your independent investigation going through former FBI Director, Mr. Freeh. You do that, and that shows us that you truly want to get to the root of the problem of why there are so many child predators roaming your schools in Los Angeles. Thank you.
Sir, other than rhetoric, and you're making this appeal to the public, does that mean you have no evidence of a cover-up? It sounds like you just have rhetoric about a cover-up and no independent evidence of your own. Where's the evidence?
We have tons of evidence of a cover-up. For 20 years,
Give me a specific.
Mark Byrne is your blueprint of a cover-up at Miramonte School. For 20 years, he roamed the schools with little girls on his shoulders, touching little girls in public, using other teachers in classrooms to escort pretty little girls over to his classroom, lacing cookies with semen. You mean to tell me somebody at Miramonte and LAUSD would allow children to walk into Mr. Byrne's classroom after 3 o'clock when Mr. Byrne's supposed to be going home, and everybody does this? I close my eyes, I don't see anything. There were a million red flags. And everybody should know this. You don't need, there are two types of
Could you
evidence.
name, sir, could you name one red flag that was
did.
there?
He
Anybody
just
else?
did.
What
Anybody
was
else?
it?
I will tell you that there are
Photograph.
hundreds of teachers
There
that
are-
have been
there-
targeted for speaking up.
There
The
are,
second you speak up, you are targeted.
there was a report
Thank you.
made in the early 1990s of child abuse by Mr. Byrne that was dismissed by the school. They actually told the children, there were two children that came forward. Two children came forward. And you know what? You know what Miramonte told those kids? You're not telling the truth. We don't believe you, and there's the door. That's one piece of evidence of a cover-up. Number two, we then had a couple parents come forward, I believe it was in the late 1990s. A couple parents came forward and they said, we believe Mr. Byrne has committed child abuse on our child. And you know what the school told them? They pointed over there and they said, there's the door. You don't like it here? There's a door, leave. That, sir, that evidence alone, in my opinion, not only supports a cover-up, that evidence alone, if anybody's listening out there, in my opinion, is criminal in nature. That is what we call a conspiracy to commit child endangerment. The school actively agreed to put children at risk in front of a predator. And then on top of that, in 2001, we had another teacher, Guevara, I believe was his name. He was reported for child abuse at the same school. He was then prosecuted. He was convicted. This is another teacher at Miramonte. Guevara was convicted of child abuse. He's serving 15 years to life. You then have Martin Springer, another teacher at Miramonte, who was recently charged with 2 counts of child abuse. He's awaiting trial. There was another teacher recently at Miramonte who allegedly killed himself. They say it was a suicide. We think it's suspicious. We then found out, did our own investigation, that he was friendly with Mr. Byrne and Mr. Springer. We wonder why he suddenly died at a time right before Miramonte broke. A teacher dies. They say it's a suicide. We're going to ask the FBI to look into that as well. There is ample evidence. There is ample evidence. When you as an administrator are put on notice, when you're put on notice that a teacher is potentially a predator, you have a duty to remove the teacher, do an investigation, get that teacher away from the kids, look at the evidence, and have that teacher either prosecuted or dismissed. Nobody did that over a span of 20 years. And then on top of that, we had all these photographs. 800, 600, 800, I've lost count. How many hundreds of photographs do you need of cockroaches crawling on kids' faces, kids ingesting semen with spoons, kids blindfolded, kids being forced to eat cookies with semen in them while Mr. Byrne is taking pictures of that? You mean to tell me, in the world we live in, that nobody saw that? Nobody knew that was going on? Well, let's get to the bottom of it. And then on top of that, 2 years before Miramonte broke, the principal at Miramonte walked into a classroom while Mr. Byrne was taping children. He was videotaping girls in the class. The principal walked in. You know what the principal said to Mr. Byrne? Mr. Byrne, I don't think you should do that because we might get in some trouble for that. Hardy har har. Wow. Wasn't that a responsible way to handle that? He should have been fired then. He should have been fired then, and we could have avoided having another 50 children terrorized by Mr. Byrne. So I hope that answers your question. Anybody else?
If the FBI is investigating this press conference, would you rather see this?
I'm sorry.
If the FBI is open for trial, how come this press conference is being announced by you rather than by the agency?
Because we're encouraging families to come forward, and we're encouraging families who've not yet reported the child abuse to contact the FBI, so that encourages the FBI to go ahead and launch the federal investigation. That's the purpose of announcing today that the FBI is not only looking into launching a federal investigation, we've been in touch with them. They are very close to doing a federal investigation. They need additional information. They need more people to come forward. We've given them information on the 11 families that we represent. We want all those other families out there who've reported this to the district attorney to equally report this to the FBI, and more importantly, we know there's a lot of other families out there who were victimized. We want them to now feel comfortable moving forward, contact the local FBI, and let's get this investigation
The
launched.
FBI interviewed all the source clients.
Pardon? I'm sorry.
Can you brought somebody in Spanish, please?
We do have somebody that'll speak. Is there any other? Yeah. By the way, if anybody needs a copy of the letter, we have a copy of the letter. We've given it out to some folks, but we do have copies.
¿Me agarras uno, por favor, compañero?
Me llamo Germán Barrero. Germán Barrero. Germanbarrero.
Excuse me.
Get my mic.
No problem.
Quiet now, it's in Spanish, please.
Respete, please.
Espera un poquito. Yo trabajo independientemente de Brian Claypool, pero hemos trabajado juntos en otros casos, otros asuntos sobre estudiantes en las escuelas públicas. Hoy estamos exigiendo que el FBI se involucre en el caso de Miramonte. Nosotros estamos muy preocupados que todavía hay padres que no han comunicado con la policía y que no han comunicado con el distrito, tienen miedo. Obviamente todavía hay mucha información que tiene que salir. Todavía no sabemos ustedes, no sé, tienen que empujar para saber cuándo se encontraron las fotos exactamente, qué es la fecha que las fotos llegaron en las manos de la policía. Hasta el día de hoy dicen otoño del 2010. Si ustedes investigan bien, hay un maestro que se mató en el 2010 de esa misma escuela. El señor Ruelas se mató y ustedes tienen que investigar, o el gobierno federal tiene que venir y investigar. Nosotros todavía también no sabemos, bueno, esto, si ustedes van al website del distrito, en el entrenamiento que el distrito tiene para los empleados dice, no mantengan un registro de los abusos por escrito. Imagínense que el sistema escolar, el segundo más grande de todo el país, está diciéndole a los empleados del distrito que si hay algo de abuso, que no lo pongan por escrito. Imagínense, vayan al website, yo les voy a dar la dirección. No mantengan un registro del abuso. Eso ahí está demostrando que ellos están escondiendo o no quieren que salga a luz nada que está por escrito para que luego se pueda usar en casos legales o cuando investigan.
De la carta que enviaron el presidente Obama y la respuesta.
Si nosotros nos comunicamos, yo escribí carta, Brian escribió carta a Obama exigiendo que queremos que la Policía Federal venga y investigue. Primero nos comunicamos estatalmente con Kamala Harris, no hubo el contacto que queríamos. Él Obama mandó la carta al FBI y respondió, y ellos se han comunicado con nosotros que sí lo están tomando en nota. Ahora nosotros estamos exigiendo que las familias llamen al FBI local.
No importa su condición legal, ¿verdad?
¿Perdón?
No importa su condición legal.
No.
Ustedes recomiendan que...
Exactamente. Y eso es algo que...
¿Lo puede decir, por favor?
Sí, ¿cómo no? No importa el estado legal de la persona. Porque aquí la persona que si está violado, está protegido. Ahora nosotros estamos hablando de niños, todos los niños que yo he hablado que son víctimas del abuso, todos ellos son americanos, son ciudadanos americanos. Ahora los padres quizás, unos no tienen papeles o no tienen registro, pero eso no importa porque ellos están protegidos. Aquí el gobierno que exige en todo el mundo que haya protección humana de derechos civiles, tiene que proteger la gente que está en este país. Y hay leyes que protegen.
El abogado estaba haciendo la comparación con Penn State y ¿usted cree que el caso de que la mayoría de las víctimas acá eran latinas no se le ha prestado la atención que merece el caso?
Obviamente, el estado de una persona, si es legal o no legal, o la manera que gente en poder mira hacia esa gente, obviamente va a determinar si van a llevar el caso al nivel que debería. Entonces, el caso de Penn State, bueno, ahí también lo trataron de esconder. Si ustedes van y ven la manera que ellos trataron de esconder de los niveles más altos, está pasando igualmente aquí, pero para responder su respuesta, yo personalmente sí creo que, porque estamos hablando de personas que dominan el español, por decir, no dominan bien el inglés, tienen miedo, no saben bien el sistema, confían mucho en las personas que están en la escuela que los trataron de detener, entonces obviamente no tomaron ventaja de esa habilidad.
Una de las cosas que señala el abogado Claypool es de que hubo una conspiración para encubrir durante 20 años estos actos criminales dentro de la escuela, o por lo menos eso es lo que quisieran investigar.
Sí, miren, si ustedes vayamos 26 años antes, vayamos al 86, vayan duro y miren la escuela 68, que está en la misma calle y esa persona, ese caso fue a la corte, toda esa área es una área donde saben que hay muchos niños. Hay padres que están trabajando 2, 3 trabajos, no están vigilando bien, porque entonces ahí ha sido una área donde obviamente tomaron ventaja. Entonces, ahora, es el 86 en la calle, en la escuela del 68, pero vayan a los principios de los 90, hubo quejas. Después el maestro Ricardo Guevara, ahora está en la cárcel. Ahora, si ustedes hablan con toda la gente que yo hablé, la mayoría no sabía que arrestaron a Guevara. Es más, Guevara, él no pasó el examen que hacen cuando te ponen el lie detector, el examen a ver si estás mintiendo. Él no lo pasó, igual lo mandaron de vuelta a la escuela. Y 2 años después lo agarraron. ¿Cuántos niños se le abusó? Ahora, 3, al final, en el caso, 3 llegaron a la corte y él ahora está en la cárcel, 15 años a vida, ¿no? Que lo pusieron en la cárcel en 2005. Pero hubo una niña, una familia que se detuvo, no querían salir a la luz. La gente tiene miedo, obviamente. Yo conozco ahora familias que no han salido, tienen miedo. Y hay intimidación, ¿no? En manera sutil, pero hay intimidación, por ejemplo, te pueden decir, oh, qué bueno, señora, que ustedes no están diciendo nada, qué buen ejemplo ustedes están haciendo para la escuela. Y después, al contrario, la otra familia le están diciendo, oh, qué auto que tienes. ¿Ya te dieron dinero? Y lo están diciendo frente a otros padres. Entonces es como una intimidación sutil que hacen sentir a las familias presión.
Retomando nada más nuestra pregunta, porque no entra la pregunta que nosotros hacemos. Usted nos puede decir, nosotros consideramos, en sus palabras, efectivamente el hecho de que la mayoría son latinos o descendientes de latinos les ha impedido que, o los ha intimidado para que no exijan justicia. ¿No lo puede decir? Que la pregunta no entra.
Para entender mejor su pregunta, es que porque fueron latinos, bueno, yo obviamente creo que porque es una escuela de recursos de gente pobre, que también no saben muy bien el sistema, que tienen miedo, no quieren que haya
Ausencia de estudiantes.
o sea, bueno, ya los niños, mira, es todo al revés. Si un niño ahora no va a la escuela, reciben una carta de un abogado del distrito que dice, mande su hijo a la escuela. ¿Por qué? Porque si el niño no va a la escuela no hay dinero. El dinero sigue el niño. El dinero sigue el niño. Entonces, ellos quieren que el niño llegue a la escuela a la fuerza. No importa si hay el soporte apropiado para los niños, o que haya abuso, o lo que sea, no, que venga el niño a la fuerza, porque si no, no hay dinero.
Ustedes están demandando prácticamente, exigiéndole a través del FBI por Obama, de que se investigue a LAUSD.
Sí, estamos exigiendo que el FBI investigue el LAUSD, la administración desde arriba, de los que estuvieron ahí antes también, para saber todo el cubrimiento que hubo. Investiguen bien ahorita lo de Cortines. Digamos, en el 2010, en otoño de 2010, cuando se encontraron estas fotos, por eso aprendan a dónde la fecha que la policía agarró la foto, porque Cortines estaban escondiendo el caso de él en ese mismo otoño.
El número de teléfono que mencionó el abogado y el website.
Y ahora
Ese número es para que las familias se comuniquen.
ya. Sí. El número que queremos que la comunidad latina llame a la FBI local, y es totalmente confidencial, no van a tener problema, porque queremos que la FBI venga e investigue todo este caso. El número es 310, la área 477-6565.
¿Y el website donde se encuentra eso de que no escriban los reportes, cuál es? El website donde él dice a los que no escriban, que no escriban los reportes.
El
Website.
No tengo el website, perdón.
¿No está el website?
Oh. Mira, no lo tengo aquí, pero yo se lo voy a mandar. El website, mira, si van a LAUSD, School Safety, Child Abuse Awareness Training, entrenamiento de abuso de niño, ustedes van a encontrar ahí donde le están entrenando a los empleados a que no pongan por escrito datos de abuso. Es criminales. Ya me hablo. Tenemos la gente que ha entrevistado a este señor, el que está en Miami.
Preocupación de que ha pasado mucho tiempo y no se ha aclarado esto. Hay una frustración por parte de ustedes que no hay una investigación criminal. Solicitaron a la FBI, al presidente Obama, que intervenga. ¿Cuál es la respuesta del gobierno federal? ¿Va a intervenir el ¿Piensa usted que las autoridades del Distrito Escolar de Los Ángeles sabían desde hace mucho tiempo lo que estaba sucediendo en la escuela de la
Es más, ya hay alguien en la cárcel de vecinos que lo habían investigado, lo habían autorizado. ¿Por qué no haya estado investigando? ¿Por qué se mató ese maestro? Que fue la misma maestra que el después de Roberto era muy pero de repente se mata. Él no se mató, le preguntan a las personas, le van a decir que él no se mató porque la religión fue mata. Es más, él era uno de los
Ahora, finalmente, una de las instituciones más importantes es lo que acabamos de ver que sucedió en la Universidad de Pensilvania. La investigación que hizo el ex jefe del FBI en este caso, dicen ustedes, pudiera servir de mapa, de guía de una investigación similar que se debe ser.
Exacto, eso es lo que estamos diciendo, porque el caso es muy similar, donde hay un sistema de ahora va a haber, hay 3 iniciativas para más dinero para las escuelas públicas, 2 grandes, el gobernador va a votar en noviembre para que haya hasta 10 millones de dólares para las escuelas públicas. Entonces, qué mejor que esconder todo lo que porque, ¿sabes? vaya a la luna para ir a lo que la corte quiere de la luna. Ahora, hay maestros buenos, obviamente, solo que la mayoría de los maestros son excelentes, son buenos, están ahí para ayudar a los niños a que sobresalgan. Pero, desafortunadamente, tenemos, hay un sistema donde es un código de silencio. Está arruinando la imagen de todos los maestros. Va a perjudicar todo el sistema público. La gente va a querer ir a escuelas charter, también son escuelas gratis, públicas. Entonces, eso no queremos que el sistema público queremos que sea más fuerte. ¿Cómo va a ser más fuerte? Sacar los maestros donde se han abusado o donde hay... Porque la ley dice que no puede encontrar que han hecho un abuso. Es sospecha de abuso. Lo tienen que sacar, tienen que sacar. Nosotros queremos, cuando tú traes tu niño a la escuela, deberías tener 100% seguro que tu niño está protegido. No, tienes 1% de miedo, de duda, no tienes tu niño a la escuela. Enseñarle a tu niño en la casa. Y es legal, no puedes hacer. El maestro no tiene el poder. Usted sabe, los administradores tienen la ¿comprende? Y los administradores, cuando hay un maestro que dice la realidad, yo tengo muchos maestros. I know many teachers. One teacher, she spoke up, she was being sexually harassed. They targeted her. No, toda la gente tiene miedo. That's why we want to This is my culture. 44 years. This system gets worse than ever. The mayor's personal attorney. Welcome to Panama. About money. Literally, I can get